Give me 1 second. I'm just going to ask my wife to put the radio off. Hang on a sec.
She's listening to Trump 100, James.
Sorry about that. My wife listening to a rival podcast.
Oh my goodness! It wasn't. I was just joking. I was just joking. It might have been yesterday's Trump 100.
Yeah, that'd be right. Yeah. Well, as I've said before, she said, well, she doesn't watch Sky News. James, she said, it would be like a mother watching her son playing football. Not sure if that's a good excuse or not.
I'm Mark Stone in the Trump 100 studio here in Washington, D.C.
I'm Martha Kellner in Los Angeles.
And I'm James Matthews, just back from New York after Zoran Mamdani's big election win and his chat about all things Arsenal, football, etc. It's all of us back together today, the front three of US podcasting.
So it's a year since America put Trump back in the White House, and I've spent the anniversary week in Florida and in Pennsylvania, two worlds in one country where I found two such starkly different snapshots of Trump's America.
But first, the fallout from Tuesday's election results have Democrats buoyant, Donald Trump not so much, with more shutdown news causing the president a real headache.
Now then, James, before we get into the elections, Trump, the Republicans, the great night for the Democrats, we need to address the fact that you've gone a bit viral on social media.
Well, you know what? I opened my Instagram, public setting. I've got 1,000 followers overnight. Not because of me, I might say, but because of Zoran Mamdani. And I kind of got caught
modest,
up in the slipstream. How many followers have you got, Martha?
Not very many on Instagram. Not enough to boast about on this podcast.
What about you, Mark?
I think about 17,000.
Oh, you show off.
Oh, all right, okay.
Oh, yeah.
You've done a few Mamdanis in your time then. Well, I've got something like 1,500, which is 1,000 more than last night. But yeah, we went to the park, Corona Park in Queens, his heartland, just next to the Arthur Ashe Stadium, actually, where they have the US Open, real kind of landmark in that part of New York. His morning after news conference, having become New York's mayor, the first Muslim ever to hold that office. And we know, don't we, it's difficult when you're foreign media trying to get access to any kind of political figure because there are no votes in us being there. So, I actually wasn't expecting really to be to ask him a question, but I did. And wouldn't you know it, he was quite pleased to see me. Have a listen. James Matthews from Sky News, Mr. Mamdani. Tell me, what do you think the lesson is of your victory for the Democratic Party and for Donald Trump?
Well, first, I just have to say I've spent many days in my youth watching the transfer window close, final hours on Sky News, so it's a pleasure to have you here.
What's your team? Your team?
I'm an Arsenal fan.
Arsenal fan, okay.
I have to be honest, when you said you were from Sky News, I just got very excited. Could you repeat the question one more time?
Yeah, I've lost track of the amount of times where I go out to interview someone in America and you say, hi, I'm Martha Kellner from Sky News. And they immediately say, I'm a huge fan of Martin Brundle and the Formula One. It does carry currency, the Sky brand over here, of course, especially Sky Sports. I noticed, though, that you didn't tell Mamdani that you were a Hibs fan, James.
Well, yeah, you know what, Martha, clearly that would have been my next question, but I've done that so often. You ask them, what's your Scottish team? And they kind of look vacant and they say, well, who is there again? One guy I spoke to recently, he said, Celtic or Rangers. And I said, well, it can be both. And then, of course, when you say Hibs, Hibernian, you can just see them glazing over. And you both know you're going to have 2 minutes of polite small talk signifying nothing. Until I tell them George Best played for Hibs, by the way. That always works. But of course, as much as we loved having George Best, it was at the tail end of his career. I'm not sure he connected much to the team. In fact, I know he didn't because in my radio days in Newcastle, late 80s, I interviewed him. It was about Gaza was breaking through at the time, and I was asking him all about that. Turned off the microphone, and I said, well, George, I was a big fan of yours when you played for Hibs. And he could not have left the room quickly enough. He just get don't want to talk about that. I don't want to talk to you about that.
Sorry, I thought you went so off script, James, that I completely lost where we were.
Lost
I didn't realise
interest.
it was me. No, I did with that too. But I'm just a bit lost here, guys, with you talking about football, because as you know, aside from being a very fair weather Swindon Town fan, because my kids are, I know nothing about football. So I'm very glad it was you, James, at that news conference yesterday and not me, because I wouldn't have had the foresight to ask him what team he supported, which was clearly the only question worth asking.
Yeah, but you know what, Mark? You're going to have to pronounce the name of an Arsenal captain very shortly. So
I know all about Granit Xhaka. Come on, guys. I know all about him.
Oh, I say. You've been Googling.
Well, yeah. Absolutely. Why are we talking about him? Well, because everyone naturally has gone deep diving into Zoran Mamdani's Twitter feed, because suddenly we all know he's an Arsenal fan. And we found various things, including a post, a meme that he posted in 2020. It's Stephen A. Smith's meme, Mamdani's reaction to Granit Xhaka being named in the team for an Arsenal match.
I am having a very bad day. I am in no mood. This, today, is one of the worst days that I've had in a long time.
Mamdani's a little bit of what we'd call a football hipster, isn't he? So there's also this other tweet that's been dragged out from back in 2012, and it's all about the Real Oviedo football team. And I don't know whether you're aware of this, but basically they were a lower league team, which a group of sort of individuals, other footballers, business people, they banded together to save this team. It was ailing. They needed a couple of £1 million to sort of stay afloat. And there was this crowdfunding exercise, and Mamdani back in 2012, so he would have been, 22 years old at that point. He bought shares in Real Oviedo. And I guess, it shows there was an element of socialism, to his thinking then, this idea of collective fan ownership and all that.
Yeah, it doesn't do Mamdani any harm. One meme I saw was 3 men banging on a table chanting, "He's one of us." And that's what they're all aiming for as a politician. I remember when I first came to America in 1983, I remember I was sharing a flat with a guy, moved in, his girlfriend was going to travel the world. She was leaving for the airport as I moved in. She had a football under her arm on the way to the airport. And I said, "Where are you going with that?" She said, "This will make me friends everywhere I go. Football is the universal language," she said. 3 months later, she came back and she said, "I made friends everywhere I went." It does connect people. And that's the beauty of it. That's the beauty of this for Mamdani, that universal language. Of course, with him, he has the benefit right now of being the new guy, no record in office to defend, etc. So it was all pals at this news conference. That can change, of course, when he does have more difficult questions to answer in due course.
Yeah, when the rubber hits the road for Zoran Mamdani, it's going to be hard work indeed. But for now, I think all his fans are still drinking this socialists' champagne. They are enjoying what was a very, very good night for the Democrats and a sobering week for Donald Trump and his Republican Party. The Republicans lost the governor's races in New Jersey and in Virginia. The Democrats in California succeeded in their amendment proposal on what was on the ballot there. And in New York, as we've been discussing, the most left-leaning mayor ever. Not a great week for President Trump.
Yeah, and wins up and down the ballot for Democrats, right from those elections for governors, right down to, school board elections. Great night for them. They have Mamdani inspiring, this feeling of hope and anticipation of a new dawn in New York City. But also here, too, when it comes to the Governor Gavin Newsom and his Prop 50 measure, that measure all about redistricting, of course. That's a big boost to Democrats when it comes to their hopes of winning the House in 2026, but also personally for Newsom and his presidential ambitions. He's not going to be running for California governor again as he's term limited. The next logical step, and he's made no secret of this now, is a run for the highest office in the land.
Donald Trump, he has been asked what he made of Tuesday's results and what he attributed the Republicans' failure to.
I think if you read the pollsters, the shutdown was a big factor, negative for the Republicans.
Negative for the Republicans, he says, seemingly accepting the pollsters' view. Very interesting, I thought, and accepting publicly that he is getting the blame for the shutdown after telling everyone for weeks that it is, in fact, the Democrats' fault. I thought perhaps the most telling takeaway from the last few days was from the Vice President, J.D. Vance. I don't know if you saw this, guys, but he took to social media after the Republicans suffered those losses on Tuesday night. He first of all urged everyone against overreacting. Don't panic, Mr. Mannering. It's all fine. Don't overread these results was effectively what he was saying. And then he went on in the second breath to then do just that, to react, to read the results. And intriguingly, tellingly, he urged the administration, Trump, to focus on all things domestic. We need to focus on the home front, he wrote. I think this was a reminder that Trump has spent a lot of this presidency so far on Air Force One, jetting around the world, curating himself as the peacemaker of the world. Maybe not quite enough time with the base back home with those people who thrust him to power. It was an interesting interjection from JD.
And came on the same day that Donald Trump was talking about invading Nigeria.
Right. Exactly. I mean, if Donald Trump is on the face of it all about America first, he also loves being the leader of the world and loves everyone tapping along to his tune globally. J.D. Vance isn't like that. J.D. Vance is genuinely America first, almost at times America only. And I think that interjection, that tweet from J.D. Vance was telling indeed.
Yeah, and J.D. Vance is the man who would be president. He needs this administration to succeed perhaps more than Donald Trump feels it has to succeed.
100%.
Given personal ambitions. But this government shutdown, it continues on. The longest shutdown in US history. Millions continue to go without vital food benefits. And of course, hundreds of thousands, they're still not getting paid. On Thursday, a judge issued a ruling. That was that the White House will have to fully fund SNAP food benefits. Now, these are kind of critical benefits for people at the lower end of the scale. Judge says they have to be funded going forward while the government is shut down. And I'll whisper this next bit in our house because I don't know about you, but we've got flights back home planned for quite soon. America's transport secretary, he's warning of a material impact on flights because air traffic controllers, they're not being paid.
Yeah, Sean Duffy, he's the transport secretary. He said that 10% of flights from 40 major US airports will now need to be cancelled ahead in the next few days. That's up to 4,000 flights daily in the United States, a country and an economy that relies on regular flight travel to 3 million passengers daily. And the chat on Capitol Hill over the past day was that it was better to cancel flights than to risk safety. You don't say. I think it's remarkable that we're now at a stage where flight safety is a consideration, and yet neither side in this big battle will back down. We're edging closer and closer to Thanksgiving, as you say, James, one of the major national holidays here. It could be absolute mayhem.
We've seen in the past with these government shutdowns that it is often chaos in the airports that prompts politicians to budge on their positions, because it is the thing that inconveniences very loudly such a large number of people. You know, there's a large proportion of Americans going about their business. They don't even realise that the government is shut down at the moment. I know that because I'm friends with some of them. You know, they're not federal workers. They're not receiving benefits. But they are flying around the country to see family, especially, as you say, coming up to Thanksgiving, the busiest weekend of the year. And there are small signs today that it could be shifting the dial, this prospect of chaos with the airlines. The Senate Majority Leader, John Thune, saying the Senate may stay in session over the weekend if there is sign of progress on ending this government shutdown. So perhaps, things might be shifting.
Yeah, and a short-term agreement to open the government, that would allow for voting to happen, to pass bills, fund certain schemes, as they continue to wrestle with a major sticking point, which is Obamacare reductions, basically, in medical insurance. Democrats, they have said, and they're position has been that has to be part of the bigger deal, or there will be no deal at all. In terms of what Americans think about all this, we touched earlier about how the Republicans and Trump are, they're the party getting the blame from most. There's an interesting poll out today from the KFF group. They asked people if this fight over medical insurance is one worth having. And they found it was almost an even split. 48% said, yes, it's worth it. 50% said, no, just end this shutdown, whatever the consequences for Obamacare. So even, but the number saying, look, stay in the fight, this is important, even if the shutdown continues, that's significant. It's a contrast, certainly, with previous shutdowns when the vast majority have just wanted a deal to get done and for the country to move on. So Democrats will take heart from that, I think.
Yeah, even so, the ramifications of the shutdown that's lasted nearly 6 weeks now will be felt for some time to come, even if the government reopens. I don't know about you guys, but I've seen countless food bank-style collections of non-perishable goods for federal workers who are not getting paid. And although it's maybe far from the minds of some people in places like California, as you say, Martha, Washington, D.C., the federal capital, is a city where you can see and feel the shutdown every moment of the day. It is affecting the lives of pretty much everyone here.
Yeah, and we were talking about one of the big successes for Democrats the other night, and that was Abigail Spanberger in Virginia becoming governor. And one of the reasons her campaign was successful was because she promised to advocate for federal workers and an ending to this government shutdown. And I think one of the reasons Mamdani was so successful was because he had a laser focus on affordability. He had this very catchy campaign slogan of free buses, free childcare and rent freezes. He identified what the main concern for ordinary people was and zeroed in on it and packaged it very well. The same thing happened, slightly less sexy, with a more established figure in Mikey Sherrill in New Jersey. And I think it's this idea that this cohort of Democrat politicians were really focused on what is affecting, ordinary people.
But, I do wonder if the Democrats were thinking of caving before these elections over the past week. Now they will feel very much more emboldened to hold the line. And we'll hope that the Republicans are the ones who cave. Which could mean that this back and forth and this shutdown could go on for a long time to come. But, I think America, maybe more than many other places around the world, is a place where people live in such bubbled, siloed lives that one part just doesn't see what the other part is going through. We as journalists get to dip into people's lives, people of all types. And this past couple of weeks, I've really seen the different worlds existing in this one country. I went, as we discussed earlier, to Trump's big speech in Miami, a year to the day since he was elected president for the second time. He chose, interestingly, to be with the wealthy. He spoke to business leaders. The vibe was glitz and money. These days, these are his voters. This is his crowd. And, the people there, as you might expect, they seemed pretty positive about the economy. No sense from them of the shutdown.
He has really pushed for a lot of issues that are important for our economy.
I'm an investor.
How do you think the economy's doing at the moment under Trump? 9 months in?
I'm a happy girl.
Why is that? Stock market up?
I'm doing good.
You have to understand how investments work, right? Investments work over time. It's going to take time.
Oh, we're taking selfies now. Tell me what's drawn you down here today.
America first.
Trump talked, of course, as he always does, about the greatest economy in the world, record highs, a stock market that's booming, all the rest of it. America is back, bigger, better, stronger than ever. All of that was in his speech. But there was just one hint from his speech, which seemed, I thought, to acknowledge the reality that should be a concern for him.
We have the greatest economy right now. A lot of people don't see that.
And James, Martha, I think that's kind of the crux of it. Beyond the fortunate in this all is great bubble, there are so many other people, maybe more now than under Biden, who just don't feel that this is the greatest economy that Trump talks about. And many of those people are in the places which delivered Trump his victory. So Trump has been banging on about bringing energy prices down for everyday Americans, bringing food prices down, making those kitchen table issues easier for everyday Americans. But he's still, isn't he, blaming Biden's economy? At what point does Biden's economy become his economy, his problem?
Yeah, we spoke about JD Vance earlier, Mark. I wonder to what extent he is positioning himself, a distance from Donald Trump in all of this, with a view to 2028.
Yeah, and remember that Vance, as the Appalachian boy done good, would like to see himself as rather closer to the people who are struggling in places like Pennsylvania than Trump would. His childhood kindred spirits would be, for example, the steel workers I met in Steelton, Pennsylvania, whose plant is shutting down. I sat in on their union meeting, and it was kind of an intimate glimpse into a hard, life-changing moment for men like David Myers.
Over 100 years, my family's been here working, and I was planning on possibly one day having my son join me, but I don't know if that's going to be a possibility now. And we've just been, sorry, I'm getting a little emotional about it.
Don't worry.
And, we've been supplying America with railroad tracks for, over a century and a half, and it feels weird for it to be coming to an end.
So the plant there in Steelton, Cleveland Cliffs as it's known, is closing because of weakening demand, according to its owners. All this, despite the fact that Donald Trump continually says he is reopening factories, reopening the steel mills. Well, not this one. Incidentally, the company's stock price, since it announced the closure of the plant, guess what? It's surged. So good news for the Miami crowd, probably. It is the irony between the two Americas.
That highlights, doesn't it, Donald Trump's problems domestically, and it's reflected in his approval ratings or disapproval ratings. They're at an all-time low for this second term. We got an email from Ian from Kent asking us if Democratic election wins are more of a rebuttal of Trump and his policies rather than voters turning to Democrats as an alternative. And I think, there's something to that, definitely.
Yeah, thanks for the question, Ian. I would agree, Martha. My sense is yes. I think last Tuesday was clearly, in large part, a referendum on Trump's record so far. A significant number gave him the thumbs down. He's the president. His is the party of government. There are enough people who don't like what's happening to them personally and financially on things like prices, healthcare, despite what Trump continues to say about prices and job losses. The figures, they're not good. And the shutdown, more people blaming Republicans than Democrats. And on the big ticket items that got Trump into office, immigration, even if people agreed on that nationwide, there is an alarm, particularly, I think, in Latino communities. And we got this from Tuesday's result, an alarm at the way this is all being enacted, particularly at street level, ICE raids and so on. The Democrats, in terms of was this a vote for the Democrats, I'm not so sure. They're not the most attractive proposition at a national level, certainly right now, arguing amongst themselves about direction, what they actually stand for. They don't have a coherent offering at the moment. What we saw in New York was Mamdani presenting a plan. There was a clarity in his campaign, but the same can't be said for the party nationwide.
Some more bad news for Donald Trump over the last day or so. The Supreme Court, conservative-leaning as it is, usually fairly friendly to Donald Trump's agenda, they indicated on Wednesday a level of scepticism over the legitimacy of his sweeping tariffs policy. They're currently hearing arguments as to whether the policies are legal. And if they do move to rule President Trump's tariffs illegal, the Supreme Court will be kiboshing what is the fundamental tenet of Trump's economic policy. That would be incredibly significant to American consumers and businesses, and of course to global diplomacy. Trump himself has called it one of the most important cases in the history of America. So we'll keep an eye on that. We will find out soon which way the Supreme Court ends up ruling.
Yeah, you say soon, though, but it's soon in Supreme Court terms, which is glacial. So actually soon means by July next year. So don't don't hold the headlines for that one. But it is very, very interesting, and it raises a whole load of new questions. I mean, apart from completely undermining a central part of Donald Trump's global agenda, effectively, because he is holding the world to ransom with these tariffs. Quite apart from that, if they do decide that what he's done is illegal, there is the sort of almighty mess of refunding more than $90 billion in already collected tariff revenue. I mean, how on earth do you go about that? I mean, it's kind of mind-boggling. But as I say, we may not find out the final views of the 9 Supreme Court justices until July next year.
It is a huge landmark case, not just for the case itself, of course, but also just for Donald Trump, the power of the presidency. You know, it is the backstop, the Supreme Court, on so many matters, so many issues relating to the way that this country is governed. You know, people worrying about where democracy goes in this country, where the checks and balances lie. The Supreme Court ultimately is the place, and that's why this will be such a significant ruling. If Trump gets this one through, on what will they stop him in future?
Some more big news is that Nancy Pelosi announced on Thursday that she's stepping down, the former Speaker of the House, ending a near 40-year career representing California in Congress. Democrats hailing her as iconic, legendary, historic and transformational. Some people taking a slightly different view, though.
Yeah, that would be the Republicans, Martha. They've been rather less gracious. Speaker Mike Johnson, he's been keeping it strictly political. He said this was a sign Democrats were moving to the radical left, as he put it. Even the San Francisco liberal, he said, is not far left enough for the neo-Marxists. I think myself, the timing clearly connects to the politics of it all. And, you know, maybe Mike Johnson does have a point. Maybe there is a recognition by Pelosi, the grande dame of the movement, that her era is gone and that change actually is needed. And perhaps that Tuesday was proof of that.
Yeah, and of course, Donald Trump, President Trump, a man who's had lots to say about Nancy Pelosi over the years, none of it complimentary. Well, he has reacted as well.
Nancy Pelosi.
Nancy Pelosi's retirement.
I think she's an evil woman. I'm glad she's retiring. I think she did the country a great service by retiring. I think she was a tremendous liability for the country.
And on Dick Cheney.
I thought she was an evil woman who did a poor job, who cost the country a lot in damages and in reputation. I thought she was terrible. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, press. Thank you, press. Thank you, press. Thank you.
Other than that, he's a big fan.
Classy. It's a bit short of thanks for your service, Nancy. Hope all's well.
Yeah, why don't you say what you really think, Donald? Anyway, guys, it is great, isn't it, to be all back together?
It certainly is.
Yeah.
I feel like we're all due a little bit of a lie down. We've all been very busy, me in Jamaica, doing the hurricane coverage. James, you've been in New York and you in Miami, Mark.
Yeah, I've been road testing this new ceramic hip up and down the length of Manhattan. So yeah, lie down in a stiff whiskey, Martha.
You've earned it.
Excellent, excellent. Anyway, guys, we will be back in your feeds on Tuesday. Have a good weekend, everyone. Do remember, if you want to get in touch with us, I should say, Trump100 at sky.uk or the comments section under wherever it is that you listen or watch the podcast.
And please do write a review and give us a rating wherever you get your podcasts.
And tell a friend as well.
Oh, yeah, do that.
Tell James's wife.
Oh,
See you soon.
You think I haven't tried? Bye-bye.